We all know I don't need any more books. We all know that. And yet, here we are. Hi everyone, I am here today with some more books. If I'm going to be honest, these aren't all the books I've bought. These are the only books I'm going to show you because I have bought too many books recently, and I'm just going to lie about it. I know a few people who watch my videos and I don't really want them to know exactly how many books I bought. If you're one of them, you probably know who you are. And so I'm just going to go through some of the books that I have bought recently because why not? So the first book that I've got is one that I bought because I'm going to be doing a buddy read with Rose from Rose Reads Books. By the time you see this haul, I don't know if I'll have already done the buddy read. I assume so because I have things coming up. However, it's this one. It's Transcendent Kingdom, and I've had this one on my radar for a while and wanted to read it. So this follows the story of Gifty, who as a child used to always ask her parents to tell her the journey that they had from Ghana to the deep south in America, in Alabama. And she used to get lost in sort of the tales of the heroism of the massive journey. However, years later, and as she's getting into adulthood, Gifty has lost her brother and her father to what is the harsh realities of immigrant life in the South. And so Gifty is left with just a mum, and the family of 4 have become a family of 2. So Gifty throws herself into science to try and understand what happened to her father and her brother, but then her mum comes to stay. And with the arrival of her mum, she starts to realise that their traumas are entwined deeper than she thought. And it says, tracing her family's story through continents and generations will take her deep into the dark heart of modern America. Transcendent Kingdom is a searing novel about a family ravaged by forces both within and beyond their control. It's a story of love, loss and inheritance, and the myriad of ways that we try to rebuild our lives from the rubble of our collective pasts. And that sounds fantastic, and I can't wait to read this with Rose. The next book that I've got is a rather gorgeous edition that was sent to me as my Goldsboro Book of the Month book, and it is this one, Hope Nicely's Lessons for Life. And I have to say, it has beautiful sprayed edges, and we all know I'm a sprayed edges fan. So this is a story that follows Hope Nicely, and Hope hasn't had an easy life, but she's happy enough living with her mum, and she walks dogs for a living. Now Hope has always been a little bit different, but as her mum Jenny tells her, she's a rainbow person, a special little drop of light. You see, Hope was born with fetal alcohol syndrome and was abandoned by her birth mother on the steps of a church 25 years previous. And Hope wants to know why. So in the bid to find the answers to these questions, Hope begins writing her own autobiography. And despite having been bullied terribly at school, Hope joins a night class, but she also begins to learn about the world around her and maybe even make some friends. However, when Jenny, Hope's adopted mum, falls ill, Hope realises that there is a lot more about life that she has to learn. The next book that I picked up is this one. This is The Governess, and I picked this up at Waterstones because they had a buy one get one half price offer when I was on the mainland recently, and I couldn't resist it. So I picked up The Governess, which I've wanted to read for quite some time, but I held off buying the hardback version, so now I've got this one. So this is a fictionalised sort of imagining of the life of the governess of Queen Elizabeth when she was a young child, and she used to go by the name Lilibet back then. And it's sort of an account of their life based on some fact, mixed in with fiction obviously, and I think it'll be a really interesting read. So the back of it says, in 1933, progressive young teacher Marion Crawford arrives as governess to little princesses Elizabeth and Margaret. Home becomes a succession of royal palaces, Buckingham, Balmoral, Sandringham and Windsor, but Crawford soon grows concerned at the girls' remoteness from real life. Determined to give her pupils a fun and normal childhood, she takes them on buses, swimming at public baths and Christmas shopping in Woolworths, which, I mean, who remembers Woolworths? I was so upset when Woolworths all closed down. During her 17 years at the heart of the royal family, Crawford has a ring seat at some of the most seismic events of the 20th century. The drama of the abdication, the glamour of the coronation, the trauma of World War II, but her devotion and loyalty count for nothing when a perceived betrayal brings everything crashing down. I really can't wait to read this. It's not my usual read, but there's just something about it that tells me I'm going to enjoy reading this. The next book that I've got is the second one that I got half price, and it is this one, Summer Water by Sarah Moss. This is a very thin book and I don't think it'll take long to read. It's barely 200 pages long, and it is set in Scotland, so it was obviously something that I might want to pick up. And it says, it is the summer solstice, but in a faded Scottish cabin park, the rain is unrelenting. 12 people on holiday with their families look on as the skies remain resolutely grey. Grey is just part of living in Scotland, really. And then it says, a woman goes running up a bend as if fleeing. A teenage boy chances the dark waters of a loch in his kayak. A retired couple heads out despite the downpour, driving too fast on the familiar bends. However, there are newcomers too. They're wearing the wrong clothes and the wrong sort of manners, and they begin to draw attention to themselves. Which, having lived in a rural part of Scotland and now on a Scottish island, that resonates. I mean, you can sort of spot people who aren't from the area just by their clothes, which sounds crazy, but it's true. So that particular part drew me in, I have to say. So people want to know who are they and where they're from, and if they should even be here at all. And as darkness falls, things start to unravel. I mean, if you know anything about me, you know that sounds like my kind of thing. The next book that I've got is another one that I picked up from Waterstones on my recent Waterstones trip. And it is this one. This is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. Picked this up from Waterstones purely for the sprayed edges. We all know I'm a sprayed edge fan, and I do really like Grady Hendrix's writing style. So this is about the final girl who, in a horror movie, the final girl is the one who's still left standing at the end while everybody else has been murdered. There is the final girl left and the credits roll. But this book is about what happens to the final girl after the running credit. So this is the story of Lynette, who 22 years ago survived a massacre, and it has defined her life ever since. But she's found a support group of 5 other women who have been the final girls in this situation. And so they meet up and they are part of a support group and they're enjoying receiving support from each other. However, one day, one of the girls stops showing up, and Lynette is drawn to wonder if someone knows about their support group and wants to basically finish them all off. However, these final girls now have each other, and they're no longer girls who are just left alone, and it's going to take a lot more than anyone bargained to finish them off. Clearly this sounds fantastic. The next book that I've got, which I picked up from Waterstones, I went to Waterstones and I bought everything. So the next book that I've got is this one. It's The Mercies, and I picked it up in paperback form from Waterstones, and it has sprayed edges. What a shock. They're pretty little flowered sprayed edges too. Very, very nice. So this says, the storm comes in like a finger snap. Winter, 1617, the sea around a remote Norwegian island of Vardø is thrown into a vicious storm. A young woman, Maren, watches as the men of the island out fishing perish in an instant. Vardø is now a place of women. 18 months later, a sinister figure arrives. Absalom Cornet has been summoned to bring the women of the island to heel. With him travels his young wife, Ursa. In her new home and in Maren, Ursa encounters something she's never seen before: independent women. But where Ursa is finding happiness and even love, Absalom sees only a place flooded with terrible evil, one he must root out at all costs. Now, if that doesn't sound fantastic to you, then you are wrong. The next book that I've got is one that I saw advertised on social media, and so I picked it up in Waterstones, and it says Waterstones exclusive content because, you know, Waterstones. I will say this video is not sponsored by Waterstones. So this is The Appeal, and it says 1 murderer, 15 suspects, can you uncover the truth? Now, what drew me to this book is when I saw on social media that it is told in sort of mixed media format. So you've got what looks like emails and text messages and just general story and things, which I love a mixed media book. I don't know why, I really enjoy that sort of format. So this follows the town of Lockwood, where there are a lot of secrets to be unearthed. It has the arrival of 2 newcomers and ends in a tragic death. Someone is quickly sentenced for the death. However, not everybody's convinced that the right person is in jail, and 2 law students are sort of assigned to the case to try and figure out what has happened and who the real killer might be. And it says, throughout the Amateur Dramatic Society's disastrous staging of All My Sons and the shady charity appeal for a little girl's medical treatment, the murderer hid in plain sight. Will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? This sounds great. It's by Viper Books, and I can't wait to read it. The next book that I've got is also by Viper Books, but this one was sent to me for review. This one's called 5 Minds by Guy Morpus, and this sounds brilliant. So this says, how do you catch a killer when you share their body? So this is set in a world where the Earth's population is being finally controlled, and when you reach the age of 17, you've got to choose exactly how you're going to live your life and when you're going to die. You have to be either a worker, an android, or a hedonist. But there's also a very rare choice called a commune. Not very many people pick that. So basically it's 5 minds sharing one body, and each mind is only awake for 4 hours of the day, but they get a combined existence of over a century. Alex, Kate, Sierra, Ben and Mike are in a commune, and they've been placed together because of their contrasting and supposedly complementary personalities. So far they've spent a difficult 25 years together. They travel to a death park where virtual games can be played, and time is sort of gambled, time that can increase your lifespan. And the plan, and the general plan, is to win enough time to upgrade to the next host body. But then Kate, one of the 5, accepts a dangerous offer and one of them disappears. So the remaining members quickly figure out that one of them is trying to kill the other ones off, and it becomes a race of time to figure out which one of them is the killer. This sounds brilliant, and it sounds like a really unique concept. And the final book that I have is this one. This is Oh William by Elizabeth Strout, and this has been sent to me for review, and I'm reviewing it in November. So I've got a good old whack of time before I'm going to be reviewing this one. However, I thought I'd tell you about it anyway. I think this book's actually coming out in October, but I'm not reviewing it till November or on a specified date. But this follows Lucy Barton, who is a successful writer living in New York. So Lucy's living in the second half of her life. She's recently widowed and her 2 daughters are grown up. But then a surprise encounter leads her to meet with William, who was her first husband. And William has been Lucy's long time on again, off again friend and confidant. So they end up sort of going down memory lane, recounting their college experiences and the birth of their daughter, and eventually the lives that they built with other people. And it says, Oh William is a luminous novel about the myriad mysteries that make up marriage, about discovering family secrets late in life that rearrange everything we think we know about those closest to us, and the way people continue to live and love against all odds. At the heart of this story is the unforgettable voice of Lucy Barton, who offers a profound, lasting reflection on the mystery of existence. I don't know where I got up to there because my husband appeared standing at the window like a serial killer. I dropped it and there was some choice words, some very choice words. Sounds... Don't do that! I thought I was going to be murdered! But now I've regained my composure, and yeah, so let me know if you've read any of them, let me know if you're going to, and let me know if your husband likes to stand in the window like a serial killer, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.